Hello everyone, this is Mr. Ahmed Hamdi. This video is for our dear first secondary students. Today we are going to study new law. Let's start with the grammar of Unit 8. The grammar of Unit 8 today is about the conditionals, okay? Or if you'd like to say, they are called if conditionals. Let's start with the zero condition. As you all know, there are many conditionals in English. Let's start with the 1. The zero conditional has got its own structure, which is if or when plus present simple and present simple in the other part of the sentence, present simple too. Okay, so let's take some examples and let's know when we use the zero conditional in English. We use the zero conditional in English to talk about scientific facts and talk about personal habits. Okay, let's take some examples. You can say, for example, if plants don't get enough water, they die. If plants don't get enough water, they die. You can ask yourself, what happens if plants don't get enough water? The answer will be they die. Let's take another example. If you heat ice, you have to note heat here is a verb, not a noun. If you heat ice, it choose melted, melting, molten, or melts. I think the right answer will be melts, okay, because this is a present simple tense and this is a scientific fact. Okay, let's take another example. If I am free, I read a book. If I am free, I read a book. This is a personal habit. As I have just said, you can use the zero conditional to talk about personal habits. Okay, in the zero conditional, by the way, in the zero conditional, you can use when instead of if. You can use when instead of if. For example, you can say when or if you boil water, it turns into steam. When or if you boil water, it turns into steam. When I'm thirsty, let's choose drank, drunk, or drink water. The answer will be drink. When I'm thirsty, I drink water. Or you can say, instead of when, you can say if I'm thirsty, I drink water. You can say if I am thirsty, I drink water. If or when, here both are right. Let's take another example. When metals are heated, they expand. When metals are heated, they expand. You have to note this sentence is written in a passive form. Metals are heated. Okay, you can say when metals are heated, or you can write the sentence in an active form like this: when you heat metals. Let's go to the next part. The next part is about the first conditional. The first conditional has got its own structure, which is if present plus will plus infinitive, or if plus present. And you can use, in the first condition, you can use begin the other part of the sentence by using the imperative form. The imperative form, what's meant by the imperative form? When you begin a sentence with a verb, like open the door, close the window, give him a present, and so on. Okay, let's take some examples. If you meet Omar or Osama, sorry, if you meet Osama, give him this letter. This is an imperative form. When we start the other part of the sentence with if by a verb, this is called an imperative form. It might be positive like this, or it might be negative. Okay, let's take another example. If you succeed, I'll buy you a present. This is a promise. Suppose that your father is promising you like this: if you succeed, I'll buy you a present. Okay, when you make a promise, use the first conditional. You can use the first conditional to express possibility, like this sentence: if you play well, you will win. Okay, this is possibility. If you play well, you will win. You can say, if you read a lot, you will gain a lot of knowledge. You can say, if you study hard, you will succeed. Okay, let's take another example. I'll punish you if you don't do your homework. This is a threat. This is a threat. Okay, suppose that a teacher is threatening his or her students who don't do their homework by saying this sentence: I'll punish you if you don't do your homework. I will punish you if you don't do your homework. You have to note here that if is in the middle of the sentence, not in the beginning. Okay, let's take another example like this: you get high marks by studying hard. I'd ask you to use if. Okay, think. Let's write the answer. You get high marks by studying hard. You can say if you study hard, you will get high marks. So this is the right answer. Okay. Another part about the first conditional is that you can use should instead of if. You can use should instead of if in the first conditional, but should is always followed by the infinitive. Let's take an example. If he studies hard, he will succeed. If he studies hard, he will succeed. If you are asked to begin with should, the sentence or the answer will be like this: should he study? Should he study? Okay, should plus the infinitive. Hard, he will succeed. Let's go to the other part. The last part of this lesson is the second conditional. The second conditional. Okay, second conditional has its own form, which is if plus past simple. In the other part of sentence, you can use would, might, could, plus the infinitive. Okay, the second conditional, it's used to express probability in English, or when you talk about imaginary situations, or for giving advice. Let's take some examples. If I were rich, I'd buy a car. If I were rich, I'd buy a car. This example expresses probability. That means that I am not rich, so I cannot buy a car. You have to note he. You have to note he. Okay. The second conditional's form is if plus past simple. If plus past simple. But the second conditional, it expresses or it talks about a situation in present. It talks about a situation in present. Okay, let's look again at this example. If I were rich, I'd buy a car. That means now at present I am not rich, so I can't buy a car. So I can't buy a car. Okay, let's take another example. Number 2. If I were a bird, I'd fly. This is imaginary situation. This is imaginary situation. You can just imagine saying that if I were a bird, I'd fly. If I were a fish, I'd swim. Okay, but the fact is that the present is that I am not a bird, so I cannot fly. Let's take an example. Another example, example number 3. I can't phone you as I don't know your address. You are asked to use if. So you can say if I knew your address, I'd phone you. If I knew your address, note that the verb is in the past form. If I knew your address, I'd phone you. But the fact is that I don't know your address, so I cannot phone you. One of the most important usage for second condition in English, it's used for giving advice. It's used for giving advice. You should see a doctor, for example. Suppose that a friend of yours is ill, okay, and he doesn't like doctors. You can give him advice by saying you should see a doctor. Okay, or you can give him advice by saying if I were you, I'd see a doctor. If I were you. In this form for giving advice, when you give advice with the second conditional, you can only say if I were you. Don't say if I was. If I were you. That means what's meant by if I were you. It means if I were in your place, if I were in your position, and so on. For example, you can say if I were you, I'd do my homework every day. If I were you, I'd obey my parents. If I were you, I'd tell the police. If I were you, I'd blah blah blah, and so on. Number 5. Let's do this. I advise you to do sports. Suppose that a friend of yours doesn't do sports. You can give him advice by saying I advise you to do sports. You should do sports. Or you can say if I were you, I'd do sports. Okay, so that's all for now, guys. Here's homework for you. There are some sentences, about 15 sentences for you. You can take this page as screenshot. You can answer these sentences and send your answers, and I promise I'll correct it for you. That's all for now. Thanks for listening, and goodbye. See you soon. Bye.